republic on autopilot.
Someone rewrote democracy and forgot to sign their name.
The AutoPen presidency, in theaters now.
Some big breaking news right now. The House Oversight Committee just declared every Biden AutoPen signature null and void in a devastating 100-page report that changes everything. Committee Chair James Comer is demanding Attorney General Pam Bondi launch immediate criminal investigations into White House staff who have been taking the fifth to hide their roles. New email evidence shows that Jeff Zients approved AutoPen pardons, then bizarrely denied it under oath. Speaker Johnson's calling it unprecedented. Staffers didn't even know who was operating the signature machine. This means Fauci's pardon, Schiff's immunity, the J6 committee's protection, all potentially worthless paper. The bombshell report proves what we suspected. Biden's presidency was run by whoever controlled the robot pen. The legal reckoning starts now. And you know what's terrifying? Biden's own staff testified he didn't know what he was signing. His mental fog was so thick they had to use a robot. That's why I started taking C60 Evo. This Nobel Prize winning molecule cleared my brain fog completely. Lab studies showed 90% longer lifespan. And I believe it. My thinking is sharper than guys half my age. My wife's anxiety from her health diagnosis gone. Joint pain I've had for decades eliminated. Now this molecule, 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. Scientist Chris Burris, he has been perfecting this in his Houston lab since 1991, and the Paris study proves it. Cellular regeneration at the deepest level. So visit the link in the description, c60evo.com/NNN. Make sure you use code NNN and take advantage of the exclusive discounts. Don't let your mind slip away like Biden. Stay sharp and stay sovereign. That's c60evo.com/NNN. So the big news out of the Oversight Committee. Holy cow. We have Speaker Johnson responding to it.
Written authorization. Oversight Chairman James Comer released a blockbuster report now on the Biden AutoPen presidency. And this report includes 47 hours worth of transcripts and testimony revealing that every executive action signed by the AutoPen without written authorization from President Biden should be voided. This is an unprecedented situation in American politics and government. The actions of President Biden simply were not all his own actions. And there are major implications to that, including all the pardons that he signed. But don't get me started. Okay, oversight.
All the pardons that he signed, potentially null and void. Oversight Committee. The full report on our investigation of the Biden AutoPen scandal. Oversight Committee, 8 hours ago, the Oval Office was occupied, but Joe Biden wasn't running the show. Biden was in physical and mental decline. His aides didn't even know who was using the AutoPen to sign executive actions and pardons. This is the scandal of the century. This is it. The Biden AutoPen presidency. Decline, delusion, and deception in the White House. This is a constitutional crisis. We have never, ever had to face what happens when executive orders or pardons become null and void. Remember when President Trump put the picture of Joe Biden? He took it down and put a picture of the AutoPen up. Yep, that sums it up. All of Biden's executive actions, including pardons, are now null and void. House Oversight Committee has confirmed the AutoPen was used by Biden's staff for actions and pardons and have now nullified all of it. Where's little Adam Schiff now? This is the official declaration 11 hours ago from the Oversight Committee. We are deeming Biden's executive actions null and void. This is the Presidential Walk of Fame. Another shot here from Margot Martin showing all the presidents. I showed you a picture, but video speaks so much louder sometimes, doesn't it? Yep. This is all happening right now. And we have this here. This is from Attorney General Pam Bondi responding to the Oversight Committee. 8 hours ago, my team has already initiated a review of the Biden administration's reported use of AutoPen for pardons. Representative James Comer's new information is extremely helpful, and his leadership on this issue invaluable. Will continue working with GOP oversight to deliver accountability for the American people. So, Attorney General Pam Bondi is now looking into the use of it for pardons. This is unprecedented. This is a constitutional crisis. It's going to require significant legal minds analyzing what happens next. What happens to all of those executive orders that Joe Biden signed? But most importantly, those pardons. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene 10 hours ago, if the auto pen pardons are done away with, Anthony Fauci needs to be prosecuted. There is no excuse. Without question, his crimes against humanity, Anthony Fauci needs to be prosecuted immediately. Libs of TikTok, House Oversight releasing the damning 100-page report deeming Biden's auto pen actions null and void. You can see this video. We've played it before, showing the identical signatures. On January 19th, 2025, Biden family pardon, Dr. Fauci pardon, General Milley pardon, J6 committee pardon, Lundgren pardon. All these pardons, identical signatures signed by an auto pen. House Oversight Chair on the Benny Show says all of Biden's pardons null and void. Listen to this.
Chairman. Mm-hmm. And it was grotesque to watch. No one's ever seen a woman behave like this in the White House. What's to be made of Jill Biden's role in all this?
Well, she had a significant role. We didn't bring Jill Biden in because it was going to take forever, and time is of the essence, because you've got a situation where a lot of these people in the deep state can't be held accountable. I know there's a lot of people frustrated that no one's been arrested yet or anything else. Well, a lot of them were granted pardons. Well, now, with our investigation, the pardons, if the Department of Justice does what we've recommended, the pardons will be declared null and void. So there's nothing stopping the Department of Justice from going after the deep state and going after Dr. Fauci for everything that he put us through, or the January 6th committee for falsifying documents, or the Biden family for taking millions and millions of dollars from our enemies around the world, lying about it, and then not paying taxes on it. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of who the auto pen pardoned on the way out the door. And again, there's no chain of custody. Every staffer essentially gave a different account for how the auto pen was to be used. And I don't think that would hold up. If you ran a Fortune 500 company and operated like that, I don't think that would hold up in a circuit court in any state in America, much less the presidential power of the pardon and the way that was operated by the Biden administration.
Should Joe Biden's Dr. O'Connell, should he lose his license?
Well, I think that he's going to have to explain why that they didn't give Joe Biden a cognitive test, or did they give Joe Biden a cognitive test and he failed? He's going to have to explain why they didn't test Joe Biden for prostate cancer, or did they test Joe Biden for prostate cancer and he had it and they lied about it? And I think he's going to also have to say, why did you continuously write down that he was in a picture of health mentally and physically when everyone in America could see with their own eyes that he was not? Now, those are all questions we tried to ask him, and he pled the Fifth Amendment to avoid self-incrimination. Now, if you have the Attorney General do an investigation, he's not going to have as many options. And if he continues to plead the Fifth, then I think he should lose his license. Because he was America's doctor, essentially. He didn't work for Joe Biden. He worked for us. He was the White House physician. Right. And you can't have the White House physician lying about people, so especially if they have cancer, especially if they take a cognitive test and fail it. So at the end of the day, that clip you showed of Jill Biden, when she said they never even talked about taking a cognitive test, that is a lie. They did talk about it. Every single one of the people that we brought in that was in Joe Biden's inner circle said, yeah, we talked about taking the president taking a cognitive test to shut up the critics, but then we eventually decided against it. Now, why would you decide against it? Either You knew he would fail it, or he took it and failed it, and you covered it up.
Nobody elected Joe Biden. And
oh, yeah, baby. It's all going down. President Trump back in July.
Years. Look, the auto pen, I think, is maybe one of the biggest scandals that we've had in 50 to 100 years. This is a tremendous scandal. And I know the people on the other side of the, see that desk, that Resolute desk? Unfortunately, he used it before me. But, you know, we have our choice of 7 desks. They're all beautiful, but I chose the Resolute, and so did he, unfortunately. But the people on the other side of the Resolute desk, I know them. Lisa, the whole group, and they're no good. They're sick people. And I guarantee you he knew nothing about what he was signing. I guarantee it. Look, the auto pen, I think, is maybe...
Oh, yeah, President Trump, he's been talking about the auto pen for a long time.
Chicken scratch. I think the only one he actually signed was Hunter's pardon was actually signed by him. You know how you can tell? It was like chicken scratch. My father's, you want a real signature. This was like chicken scratch, like a little thing. The auto pen looked much better.
Here's more from President Trump in September.
Of our time. Well, I think the auto pen is one of the great scandals of our time. The auto pen was our president, or to put it a different way, whoever operated the auto pen was our president. It's not allowed. It's just not allowed. And they gave a pardon to the Unselect Committee after the Unselect Committee realized that whole situation was a hoax and it was all their fault, including Nancy Pelosi turning down security and all, turning down soldiers. It all came out bad for them. They burned everything. They got rid of everything. There's absolutely nothing there. It's all gone. And that was based on an auto pen. You know, they gave those members of Congress that were on the Unselect Committee, they gave them pardons. What do you think? So I think it's a tremendous scandal.
What do you think the media would say if you pardoned your kid your last day in office via an auto pen? Don't you think the media would go?
Well, I think it would have been a big story. I like this guy.
Every single pardon now officially being questioned. Here's more. President Trump in March on Air Force One.
It's not.
To follow up on the Biden auto pen, are those executive orders, those pardons from the former president now null and void?
Well, I think so. It's not my decision. That'll be up to a court. But I would say that
well, now, of course, it's going to the Department of Justice.
Null and void, because I'm sure Biden didn't have any idea that it was taking place. And somebody was using an auto pen to sign off and to give pardons to, as an example, it's just one example, but the J6 Unselect Committee. They gave pardons with an auto pen. I don't think Biden knew anything about it. And what they did is they deleted and destroyed all of the information that took them over a year to get. And the reason they did that is because the information was very incriminating about them. Like Nancy Pelosi, it was determined conclusively that she knew about 10,000 soldiers and turned it down. And if we used 500 soldiers, you would have had no problem.
The auto pen scandal exploding today. Here's more from the Oversight Committee. Did Dr. O'Connor mislead the American people with false medical records about Biden's decline? After pleading the fifth in our investigation, Chairman Comer is calling on the D.C. Board of Medicine to review his actions as Joe Biden's physician. Joe Biden was not well.
Dr. O'Connor, were you ever told to lie about the president's health?
The advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based upon the physician-patient privilege and in reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer. I must follow my lawyer's advice in this matter.
Let the record reflect that Dr. O'Connor has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Dr. O'Connor, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based upon the physician-patient privilege and in reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer, and I must rely on my lawyer's advice in this matter.
Dr. O'Connor, did you ever believe the president was unfit to execute his duties as president?
On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based on the physician-patient privilege and in reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I'm not a lawyer, and I must follow my lawyer's advice in this matter.
Let the record reflect that Dr. O'Connor has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Dr. O'Connor, please be very clear. Are you declining to answer the question put to you solely on the ground that you believe the answer will incriminate you?
On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based upon the physician-patient privilege and in reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer. I must follow my lawyer's advice in this matter.
Dr. O'Connor, is it your intention to decline to answer all questions put to you today by the committee on the basis of the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination?
On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based upon the physician-patient privilege and in reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer, and I must follow my lawyer's advice in this matter.
And we can tell you that he will have the same answer with respect to any questions that are asked.
Dr.
That man is so guilty. At the heart of the cover-up. Back in September, Representative Tim Burchett confirming that Biden staffers were taking payoffs in exchange for auto pen pardons, meaning bribes, and Hunter Biden was directly involved. Here is Jeff Zients saying his email. I approved the use of the auto pen for all the following pardons. When asked if he wrote it, he claims, I don't believe I did. Zients worked for Obama from 2009 to 2017, all 8 years. Remember that dinner in January 18th, 2025, right before the inauguration in Georgetown with a small group of people in a private dining room in Osteria? Zients was the only one publicly identified of the group, which was likely about 6. Neera Tanden, by the way, took over for Susan Rice when she left in 2023. Rice was hired day one of the Biden administration and placed in charge of domestic policy. If Valerie Jarrett is Obama's right hand, Susan Rice is the left. Obama was cubing the entire show from his Kalorama home, less than a mile from the White House, since 2017.
Was the people that knew he was cognitively impaired and that took over the auto pen. They stole the presidency of the United States.
Do you know who the people who were actually operated the auto pen were?
I do not. Do you know any of the actual staff who were using the auto pen?
No.
You don't know their names?
No.
Have you never seen a decision memo laying out the breakdown of when the president should hand sign a particular set of documents?
Not prior to prep.
Did he hand sign all executive orders?
He did not. He hand signed many executive orders, but he did not hand sign all executive orders.
Can you read your response?
I approve the use of the auto pen for the execution of all the following pardons. Thanks, Jay-Z.
Did you yourself write this email?
I do not believe I did.
That auto pen was used excessively, and yet no.
I do not believe I wrote that email. So was it an auto pen email too? On the authorization of the use of the auto pen?
One can say for certain that Joe Biden was given the orders to use the auto pen.
We've been pretty transparent from the very beginning with providing information as it occurs throughout this process.
That we anticipated that her report was going to come out and that we didn't feel an entire interview before the Super Bowl talking about classified documents was going to help the cause too much.
I think you can question the validity and the legality of those pardons and executive orders, and that's huge.
But the president is absolutely sharp, fit, on top of his game.
So they're just making up lies to attack the president.
Yeah. The bomb just detonated in Washington, D.C., my friends. We've been waiting for this. It's been really quiet on the auto pen front after all of those testimonies. I remember tracking them all, wondering how come we haven't heard anything. And now the blockbuster report has dropped. This is new. Apparently, House Oversight releases the interview video of top Biden aide Mike Donnellan. Question is asked, would the amount of money Donnellan earned in 2024 campaign change based on how far Biden made it? After long pauses, Donnellan says he'd have earned $4 million bonus if he was reelected. So we're going to continue to track this because now we have the Attorney General Pam Bondi already looking into the auto pen for pardons. So you got Schiff, you got Fauci. Hunter Biden's, I believe, was actually signed by President Biden at the time. Milley. These are all people that need to face justice. And you know they are sweating tonight. If you got value from this report, tab subscribe. My final thought is next. Now, this changes everything. If Joe Biden didn't sign those pardons, Fauci's walking around with toilet paper for protection. Adam Schiff, his immunity just evaporated. Hunter's sweetheart deal, legally worthless if his father didn't actually sign it. The January 6th committee members who destroyed evidence, they are now sitting ducks. Attorney General Pam Bondi has all the ammunition to prosecute them all. And Chairman Comer is demanding immediate action. Now, this is not just about signatures. It's about the systematic hijacking of our republic by unelected bureaucrats. For years, they called us conspiracy theorists for questioning Biden's capacity. Well, now we have the proof. America was never governed. It was only governed by whoever had access to the auto pen. So here's the real question. Was this incompetence or a coup? Drop your answer below. Do you believe that Biden knew his staff was forging his signature? And while the deep state panics, you can gear up with our very own President Auto Pen merch from our merch shop, because when the pardons fall, the dominoes follow.